What is going on, guys? This is Miasin, and this is going to be my Tellarknight deck profile featuring the new support. It's actually really nasty. I really can't wait to get it. I want to say it's probably going to be changing a lot for the deck, probably not for the metagame, although we never know, and maybe it's going to be getting even more support down the line, and the deck would actually be able to change to something completely different. But for now, I'm a huge fan of this deck, really enjoyable to play, and it's a completely different take from what people used to play back in the days in like 2014 and stuff like that, where the deck was like a huge trap deck with like Call of the Haunted, Oasis of the Dragon Souls, and the strategy was to go like, Trigger, sorry, that's Deltros, Trigger in order to bounce back all your continuous cards so that you can keep using them again and again. The deck was basically like an infinite loop of making rank 4s, rinse and repeat, and eventually your opponent would rage quit, and you would be getting the win that way. The deck didn't really change that much, although it kind of did, because now you can play less trap cards, more hand traps, which is maybe something that didn't really exist back in the days, outside of like Maxi and Effect Veiler. Obviously, Ash and Imperm are relatively new. And yeah, this deck is probably going to be way more appealing than it was before. So if you're a big fan of control and mid-range decks, this deck might be good for you. But anyways, before proceeding into this deck profile, friendly reminder to smash and like this video, please. I really appreciate you guys. Let's try to get this video to 1,000 likes. I know we can do it. Live streaming coming up soon. And now let's get right into it. Alright, so for the Tellarknight monsters, I mean, for me it's relatively obvious, but I'm playing triple Onunculite, triple Altair, and then triple Deneb, as well as triple Lyra. So I'm going to be explaining what all of them do. All the Tellarknight monsters, whenever they are summoned, so on normal or special summon, but also on flip summon, you can send a Tellarknight card from your deck to the grave. You can do something. So an Onunculite, you can send a Tellarknight card from the deck to the grave. And then Altair, you would be able to revive back any Tellarknight monster from the graveyard into defense, but for the rest of the turn, you can't attack with any monsters except Tellarknights. This is only really relevant if you're trying to do some Zeus plays. And then for the Deneb, it searches you any Tellarknight monster from the deck to the hand. So this is, the bread and butter. It's the Rhoda. This is the Monster Reborn. This is the Foolish Burial. And Lyra is a searcher for spells and traps. Oh, actually, rather spells, because I don't believe there's any Tellarknight trap cards anyways. But yeah, it only searches Tellarknight spells. Satella Nova Alpha is a card that I really wanted to play, but unfortunately, it's not a Tellarknight card. So yeah, it's a little annoying. Otherwise, I think you would have been able to, like, maybe find ways to, like, search it. But, yeah, not right now. Anyways, these 12 tier elements, Tellarknight, I played too much competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm so sorry. They're probably, like, the heart and soul of the deck, but we also have some nice supporting cards. So I'm playing double copies of Althea. It's not really a start or anything. It only really does something in the graveyard, so whenever a tier elements monster... Oh my god, I said it again! Whenever a Tellarknight monster or Constellar monster other than itself is special summoned to your field, you can revive it back from the grave. And if this card is special summoned, you can destroy cards on the field equal to the number of light and dark Xyz monsters you control. So it's really nice in tandem with like Pleiades, the Tellarknight Ptolemaeus summoning some stuff. So that you can revive it back on your opponent's turn, destroy cards on their turn, and also, just like summon rank 5s with like the Ptolemaeus. So yeah, that's the reason, by the way, why they unbanned Tellarknight Ptolemaeus. It was really for the new support. So whenever you see like a random ass card getting unbanned in the next ban list, you know that it's probably going to be because they want to push some product. And I guess it makes sense. But anyways, 2 copies of this card, and then obviously one Vega, this card on the summon. You can summon any Tellarknight monster from the hand. So it's a little worse than Altair, but it's always nice to have as, an option as a one-of, because if you can access it, then you can unbrick hands that have, like, too many Tellarknight monsters. And finally, for the Constellar monsters, so they're not these ones, it would be 3 Sheraton and then 1 Caduceus. So Sheraton, when it's normal summoned, only normal summoned, you can add any Constellar monster from deck to your hand, and the options would be either the Althea, the Lyra, or the Caduceus, but you're typically going for Caduceus because if you control a Constellar monster, you can summon Caduceus from the hand for free, and once per turn, you can search a Constellar spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. So in other words, you're going to be able to get access to Twinkle very easily, and Twinkle allows you to increase or decrease the level of a Constellar monster by 1 or 2. And you can also banish it from, you can recycle it back from the graveyard to the hand by banishing a Constellar monster from the grave, which sometimes can matter a bit, but it makes Sheraton a 1-card rank 4, and like a 1-card, multiple interruptions if you're playing like some equip spells, or even if you're not playing equip spells, it's still like a 1-card double rank 4, so it's a really, really nasty card. So that's it for these Tellarknight and Constellar monsters. And finally for the hand traps, I want triple Ash, triple Valor, and triple Imperm. At the end of the day, these are just like utility cards, so you wanna play whatever works out the most in whichever format you're going to be playing in. So if Bestials are the way to go, then you're playing Bestials. And if they're not, because people are playing like other decks, like maybe, I don't know, Kashtira, for example, maybe you want to play these kind of cards instead. So yeah, it's very... these cards, like I said, they're very flexible, so don't go thinking that this is necessarily optimal for any ratio, any format, sorry. And Solemn Strike is very similar. I mean, you can play other cards instead of Solemn Strike. You can play like Floodgates, you can play Call by the Grave, even Call of the Haunted, in theory. That could work, but yeah, anyways. Reinforcement of the Army, just an extra consistency card because everything in their mother is warrior except for these cards right there. So Sheraton is a beast and Caduceus is a spellcaster. I know it's really awkward because no beast warrior for tanky and also not warrior for Reinforcement of the Army. But it's all good. And then one Twinkle, triple copies of Prod of Prosperity. There are a few cards that you don't really mind banishing, but I guess for the most part, it's kind of rough to like have to banish a few cards because everything kind of matters. So I want to say the majority of the time you're only going Prosperity for 3, not really for 6. Unless you break like crazy, obviously, then that's a different story. Anyways, triple Skybridge. Skybridge plus almost any Tellarknight monster is basically game. Not really, I mean, it's combo, but not all of them allow you to do something. So Ononkulai and Deneb would actually get you there, but not everything else. And then obviously one Tellarknight Constellar, this card's pretty insane. I'm a huge fan, and the other utility cards, as I said. So now for the extra deck, we have one Zeus, one Constellar Ptolemy M7. This card, you're pretty much never using its actual effect, but its summoning condition of being able to summon it on top of a Constellar Xyz monster you control is actually really relevant. So you can summon it on top of your Caduceus and then use the effect of Tellarknight Constellar to transform your M7 into a Deltaros, and then you destroy yourself and you summon a Tellarknight monster from the hand or deck. So if you're still confused, just go watch my combo video. It should be explained relatively well. And again, huge shoutouts to Lithium for letting me know about this combo because I had no idea before, so I was struggling like crazy trying to figure out combos for this deck. And Lithium, as well as the viewers, kind of helped me go into the right direction. So, absolutely nasty combo right there. Anyways, Tellarknight, Constellar Diamond, this card's insane. It's so easy to summon with Tellarknight Ptolemaeus, but even in like this deck without Ptolemaeus, it's still easy to summon, although you might need a main phase too. But anyways, this deck can actually make a 4-material Zeus in literally 2 seconds because there's so many cards that you can just slap on top of other cards. So yeah, board breaking is not that difficult depending on what your opponent has. Obviously it depends, like if it's like a hard negates, like negate and destroy a monster effect, it might be a little hard, but whatever. Anyways, Constellar Pleiades, Dark Tellarknight Batlameus. You can use this card as a quick effect if you have 7 or more Tellarknights in your grave with different names, but sometimes it's a little too much. And then Deltaros with double Caduceus, the Triver. I pretty much never summon this card. It's a little hard, and also you can only summon Tellarknight monsters. Well, only special summon Tellarknight monsters the turn use this effect, so it's a little difficult. Not during the turn you use this effect, but only during the turn you XC summon, which is actually way worse. During the turn you XC summon this card, yeah, sorry. So yeah, very rough, but being able to bounce back like every other card on the field, and also making your opponent lose a random card from the hand is actually pretty nice, but not great against, like, you know, tier elements, for example. Oh, wow, finally I can say that, because, yeah, it's making your opponent lose, like, discarding cards. If it's against a deck that has, like, a lot of graveyard effects, like Tier and Dark World, it's going to, like, kind of backfire. Actually, it sends, it doesn't discard, so maybe it might be good against Dark World, but whatever. Still not. Anyways, Baguska with Gaga Magician, you can revive back the Deltaros with it, and then link it off and do some nasty plays. And then Abyss Dweller, Tellarknight, Ptolemaeus, Appaloosa, and Isolde. Even without any equip spells, Isolde is still pretty decent in this deck. And finally, for the idea section, I have Renault. If you're playing Living Fossil with, like, well, I mean, that's all you really have to do in order to make, like, more interruptions with the Sheraton. You'd be able to make, like, 7 or 8 interruptions, which is ridiculous. And then Tornado, Excite on Night for more utility. Back to the front with Call of the Haunted and Oasis of the Dragon Souls, the Monster Reborns. This is not a continuous, so you can't bounce it back with Shiver, but it doesn't really matter too much. Goes in Match, Rivalry, and the Stellar Nova Alpha that you can't even search, so that's kind of sucks. But anyways, that's pretty much it for this deck profile. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.